Isaac Tiemans asked, what would you tell your 18-year-old self he was actually right about? That's a nice relief, because there's a bunch of things I was wrong about. I was right about America. I was right about the military. I was right about the business. I was right about... I think I was right about the Apollo future. I think I was right about the space age attitude. I think I was right about these things. I think they're worthwhile and important, and they matter. All of them matter. When I was a kid, if the question really truly is what would I ask my 18-year-old self, or say to my 18-year-old self, then my 18-year-old self would have been just a few weeks away. Oh my God. Oh dear. Sorry. I was just distracted. I was intentionally distracted by an extremely evil person who has the power to do that. And we'll probably get back to that later. I have to turn this off because I cannot do the show if this is on. My goodness gracious. You poor people who aren't me. Back to business. My 18-year-old self was right about being a fighter pilot, and I was heartbroken about it. I think the first thing I would probably tell my 18-year-old self about being right about was that even though you didn't get to go and do what you wanted to do, even though you didn't get to fly the jets that you wanted to, it was the right thing to do. It was an important thing to do. And that desire and the years you spent on it will never let you down. By the time I failed, it wasn't. I wasn't surfing porn. No, I wasn't surfing porn. Something like that was surfing me. In any event, I think, in all seriousness, from the age of 5 to the age of 17, when I went for the Air Force Academy physical, I built every single plastic model in the U.S. inventory. I had 1/72nd scale F4s. I had 4 of them, and they were all peeling off. There was a B-52, 1/72nd scale B-52, 1/72nd scale C-130, and the F4s were breaking off, and I had a couple of F-100s in like high cover. I had a giant family room, and then on the far side, I had I think like a wedge of like 6 MiG-21s coming in, and so I built every single airplane in the inventory. I built every single tank in the inventory. I built all of the weapon systems. I got a brief period where I was into the ships and everything, and that military familiarity never left me. I always stayed fascinated in it, and I never lost interest in it, and that gave me a tremendous background in the military. So I would say wanting to be a fighter pilot, wanting to join the military of any kind would have been really, really great, and I would not have regretted that. I would have told my 18-year-old self I actually got that right. I also would have told my 18-year-old self that you got it right when you were trying to raise money to get movies made instead of trying to get grants to make movies made. We would go to people, with my patron primarily, the guy who I've told you so many times about, the guy who was in My Friend Failure, the geologist. But basically, our attitude from the get-go as students was, as young filmmakers, was, how do we sell this film so that we can make more money than it costs? How can we make a return on investment for this guy? Because even though we didn't make a return on investment, we that was our mindset. It was our mindset from the beginning to be in the business of making a profit and running a company that was financially profitable. I never, ever, ever had the slightest doubt about America. I never had the slightest doubt of business, and I never had the slightest doubt about the military. I was just raised to believe that stuff, and I loved it, and I never, ever got over it. So I think I got those 3 things right. I think I got the fundamental belief in America right. I had, by the time I was 18, I had a friend who was a escapee from Cuba, but I had a very dear friend, a very influential friend, who was a poet who escaped from Bulgaria, and he told me what daily life under communism was like. Just the daily, you have to wait in line to 5 hours in the snow to see if there's anything in the store, that kind of thing. Just the general total disregard for human life. So I got the fundamentals right. It's only after I got to be 18 that I went off to college and started to make all kinds of mistakes, and we got some questions to deal with that later. Patty Ann says something which I wanted to read anyway, so it's not a question, as she says. But Patty Ann says, "Hey, Bill, not a question, but I wanted to let you know that I once told my daughter about your advice to young people to go to work early and stay at work late, even if they don't have a job for you, and eventually they'll make a job for you." Well, she did exactly that, and it worked. She mentioned it just a couple of days ago, and I told her she had Bill Whittle to thank for that. So thank you from my daughter, Claire. It was great advice. Claire, congratulations. I told you it would work, and I wish I could tell you I came up with it, but I didn't. It's a simple piece of wisdom that everybody gets who's successful. And it's not work to stay at a job you love. So if you're going to use this strategy of getting started someplace and working for free and coming in early and staying out late and not getting paid, for God's sakes, make sure it's something you love. If you want to be a dancer, make sure it's at the theater. If you want to be a fireman, and volunteer at the fire station. If you just want a job, then go anywhere and do it, and I guarantee you it will work. And it worked like a charm for me back in 1974. And hard work then still was fairly common. If you tried that today, I guarantee you'll run that business in a year. It's let me just say this very, very quick digression here. This attitude of going in early, staying late, working hard, and asking for more responsibility without additional pay until you can prove that you can do the job, it's like one of the laws of nature. It's like Bernoulli's principle or the law of gravity or any of these constants. It's a physical force of nature. It's like the actual market. Things cost what they cost. You can set a price too high or too low, and it doesn't matter. The market, there'll be a black market or there'll be hoarding. So it's a fundamental law of nature. It works 60% of the time. It works all the time. I can't say it works every single time at every single place, but I can say that the plan, the strategy will succeed over time. And it's really just comes down to attitude. And people want to help people and want to hire people that want to work for them. And by going there early and staying late and offering to work for free, you're showing the people who are going to make the decision whether or not to hire you and whether or not they can find pay for you. You are showing them that not only are you the best choice of anybody who might come in and apply for a job, you're coming in and working without even applying for the job. Who's not going to want to hire that person? Nobody's not going to want to hire that person. So Claire, I'm so proud of you. I'm glad you heard it from me. Spread it around. I didn't invent it, but God knows it sure does work. And congratulations. And Patty Ann, if you get a chance, send me a follow-up Facebook message. And if Claire's okay with it, just tell me what the job was. I'm actually really curious. I'm curious what it was she wanted that badly and what job she got and where she plans to go from there, because it's really terrific. Congratulations. Makes me happy.